Okay everyone, welcome back to another very interesting tutorial. I've been asked to paint this big huge wide abstract painting. It's basically just lots of swishes of colour going up like this, okay? Lots of different colours, and it's going to be a very complementary painting. So lots of primary colours and lots of complementary colours, okay? This is something that would go beautiful on any wall, okay? Really any wall, because it has a touch of every colour. All right. This is 7 foot wide by 3 foot high. I stretched the canvas myself onto a wooden frame. It's a very heavy cotton canvas, very heavy grade. So it's really tough and durable. I primed this with 3 layers of PVA glue thinned out first. I left it dry for a day or two, then I gave it 5 coats of white primer, okay? A white undercoat primer. I left those dry for another day or two, and I then rubbed linseed oil with a cloth, just normal regular linseed oil, all over the canvas. Okay, I left it dry so it dries to a nice kind of a glossy finish. Okay, so before I painted it then, just earlier, I gave it a very thin coat then with my thinners. It's turpentine with linseed oil mixed in, so it's a lovely medium for thinning paints. I gave the whole canvas a nice coat of that, just to avoid the paints drying in too quickly, because it's so big and we're blending lots of colours together. So I want to make sure the canvas is quite wet. I haven't put paint on it yet now, so I don't know how it's going to react drying wise. I hope the paint sits on it for a while at least. But I have a reference photograph here. I'm going to put it on your screen for you now so you can see it. Isn't that gorgeous? Lots of colour. Now, the client wants me to avoid any of the really rich blues. So you can see on the left and the right, there's a lot of blue. I'm going to make that more of a warm blue, maybe a bit of a plum as well, okay? So not so much in your face kind of a blue, but focusing more on yellows, oranges, pinks, that kind of thing. So we're going to go with that. Lots of big brush strokes. So I'm going to use a 38mm, is this 1.5 or 2 inch regular painting brush, a household painting brush, okay? And I have a couple of other ones here then, just for putting some nice small strikes through the canvas. So let's go. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm very apprehensive when you're standing in front of a big canvas like this. It can be quite overwhelming and frightening, you know, because putting that initial brushstroke on the canvas, it means you've started. Do you know what I mean? Now, I have a big plastic palette here because I want to mix lots of paint. So, lots of little sections with a couple of primary colours laid out. I have another one here with just some white and a little bit of black as well. And I have a little jar of my thinners, turpentine and linseed oil. So, without further ado, let's crack on, have a bit of fun with this. Let's see how it goes. Now, I have a small reference photograph here. This is all I need. So let me just make sure that doesn't go off or anything like that. I'm going to start in the middle where the yellow is. I'm going to bring lots of yellow right down here. Okay? So let's do it. Deep breath and let's go. I'm going to wet my brush. I'm going to soak my brush and I'm going to pick up loads and loads of cadmium yellow. Okay? And I almost want this a little bit watery. So I'm going to add in lots of this. So I'm going to make a little puddle of cadmium yellow here. Now, as I said, I don't know how the canvas is going to feel. I don't know if it's going to be wet or if it's going to be slippery or is it going to be dry. So I'm going to try this first and see how it moves on the canvas, okay? If I find this a little bit too dry, I'll just have to make a thinner mix. So I have lots of yellow here now on my big 2-inch brush. I'm not familiar with using big brushes all the time. It's not something I've done a lot of in the past. So let me just take some yellow and a little hint of white. Just want to brighten it up a little. So let's try it and see how it goes. Now, I'm going to start here. Now, I love that. You see now immediately the paint just swished across the canvas. Perfect. I love this. This is exactly what I want, okay? So I'm very happy now so far. So I'm going to go up here. Now I will paint around the sides of the canvas as well, but I'll do it later, okay? When it's finished. I'm not too worried about that. I'm just going to put this big splash of a whitey yellow up there, okay? I'm taking loads of thinners in this now, lots and lots of thinners. So I've plenty of white and plenty of cadmium yellow, and I suppose I'm not really looking at the reference photograph too much. I'm just getting the direction of the paint, okay? That's kind of all I want to try and do at the moment. So look, lots of yellow, look at that, lovely. And I'm going to take some yellow with a little cadmium red. Now where am I going to mix this? I'll just mix this here. The problem is I don't have any very big palettes, so I'm kind of struggling now with the smaller palette here. I need to try and mix what I can in the smaller palette. Okay, I'm going to put some of this nice red on this side here. The worry is that it starts drying in too quickly into the canvas. I don't want that, okay? I want it to kind of sit on the canvas for at least 10 minutes, 15 minutes before it dries. So I'm being very conscious of that. Sometimes you're actually better off working fast, because if you take your time and you work too slow, you get kind of bogged down and focusing on one part. It's nice to just kind of move around on the canvas fast, and that kind of, it frees up your mind a little bit, you know. Alright, so this kind of bright yellowy section in here, there's a lot of different yellows and oranges going through that. So I'm just going to pull these down in this kind of circular motion here, look. And, you know, I'm going to be putting lots of marks through this like so. So there's no real panic with getting all of this just perfect, okay? You don't really have to get it perfect at all. And I am going to go through a lot of paint in this. So I'm just focusing on the very bright section there just in the middle, okay? That's coming on nice so far, isn't it? Now the next thing we could do is, I see a nice stroke of reds over here. So I'm going to put some reds in there. Dampen the brush, take some cadmium red, bright cadmium red, okay? And I'll take a little hint of crimson. I'm not used to using these big brushes on a small palette. I'm just not familiar with this kind of technique. It's not something I've done a lot of in the past. But look, let's just have a bit of fun with this. This is coming on very nice indeed. So beautiful colours going across there already. Okay, I'm going to take some more cadmium red and some crimson. And I'm going to take lots of turpentine in this as well. So more crimson on this side, nice rich pink. And don't worry, this won't be the finished colour, okay? I'm going to be adding to all of this. Adding different kind of colours in as I go, do you know what I mean? So for instance, let me see now, I'm going to take lots of rich cadmium red. And I'm going to come down here with cadmium red. Just fill it in. And again, lots of turpentine in this. And maybe a bit of crimson. And I'm going to get some cadmium red with crimson down here. And this is so much fun doing a painting like this, because you can just let yourself go. You really don't have to worry too much about getting it absolutely perfect, and you can kind of make it your own as well as you're going along, which is the nice thing about it. So put in a little bit of yellow into that. Let's just warm it. I want to kind of go up slightly into the yellow, but I don't want to mix it too much. Does that make sense? And the thing about this kind of a painting as well is I'm not aiming to copy the reference photograph exactly, okay? I'm going to make it my own as well as I go along, which is the lovely thing about abstract art. So I've basically been given a license to just kind of make it my own as well, but trying to keep the originality of that reference photograph there, keeping the brush strokes and the colours somewhat similar. So it's nice when you have a little bit of leeway like that in a painting. especially with a commission. It's really lovely. So what I'm focusing on doing right now at the moment is basically just getting that kind of background colour filled in, and I can work on top of that then with everything else. Do you understand? So just covering that canvas, really covering that white canvas, that's my goal right at the moment. Let me take some more. I'm going to get some nice rich red. I could have probably used a little vermilion red as well in this, which is a very bright red. But all I have with me is cadmium red, which is beautiful as well. But the vermilion is more of an orangey red, very bright red. But look, this will do just fine. And this is probably the biggest painting I've ever done to date. So it's a lovely challenge. But the thing about doing an abstract like this is it's very difficult to go wrong in an abstract like this, okay? It's very difficult because it's simply just putting lots of paint on and ensuring that you don't end up with sort of a muddy colour on the canvas. So I'm going to see, you can even pull some of those colours together as well. As it comes down, then it gets much warmer again, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take some burnt sienna, which I have on my palette over here, and I'm going to take some cadmium red. So burnt sienna, cadmium red, and I'm going to just add some of that colour in here. And I'm probably going to destroy my studio here now with splatters of paint and everything like that, but I don't mind. Okay, I don't mind. It's only paint. And what I'm doing is just getting the main big brush strokes in. Okay, I'm going to maybe switch to a smaller brush then and get some of the smaller lines done with that. So let's just take our time. Let's just have a bit of fun with this. Okay, I'm going to try a little bit of crimson, I think. Crimson, that nice rich deep pink, will look wonderful. I'm going to go down here with some crimson like this. Just coming sort of at the side like that. And it can really be lovely and free with something like this. Now, I see a bit of black up there, so I'm going to take some black from my palette. Thin that slightly, just a little bit of black. And I'm going to go like that. Look at that, look. What do you think of that? A nice stripe of black coming down into this orange like that. Look at there. There we go. Now I'm going to stand back for a moment. Just take a look at this. Yeah, I like this. Okay, so that black comes kind of down at an angle. And again, look, I'm trying not to observe the reference photograph too much. Okay? Because if you start looking at the reference photograph too much, you just end up making it over complicated. Alright? It'll become over complicated. I'm going to take some crimson. Raw crimson. Now my picture has gone off again. Let me just get that back on. 3, 2, 1. Okay. 2, 1. And I don't know why that keeps happening, but it just happens. A bit of pink, a bit of crimson into that. Let me see. Take a little bit more black. So I'm just kind of dashing from one palette to the next because I don't have enough room on this one palette for all my colours. Okay, like that. Now a little mark there. I don't know, that was my brush from earlier actually. What I could do is just take some of the black I have, go like that, okay? And maybe even with that, a hint of crimson. Okay, that'll do fine. So we're going nicely. I'm going to start putting maybe some pinks in here, some bluey pinks, okay? So I need to get more cadmium red. Luckily I have these bigger tubes because I'll need these. This is coming on nice. And let me dampen the brush. Now I haven't cleaned my brush yet. Give it one quick clean just to get some of the black off, because the black will make everything muddy, alright? So you need to clean as much black off of your brush as you can. Now let me take, again, lots more cadmium red. I'm going to go right in here to this cadmium red. I'm going to take a tiny amount of French ultramarine. This is. I'm going to switch off my heater over here because I have a heater on in the background and it's getting quite warm now. So let me just turn that off. And so crimson, cadmium red, a little bit of blue, and even a little white, okay? So now I'm going to have a nice kind of a mauve. A deep mauve. And I'm going to start adding little touches of white into this, just to lighten it a bit, okay? And a bit of blue. So all the colours now are sort of mixing nicely together, you see? Okay, a little bit more white. And I'm going to put a nice bit of white down in here, look. And what I'm hoping to have in this painting is lots of complementary colours, okay? I'm going to put a little bit more pink up here. Now I kind of personally, I like the bit of blue that's in there. He did say, okay, a bit of blue is okay, but not too much. So I'm going to kind of add a little dioxazine purple and a bit of blue. Just maybe over here, okay? So you can see it's a warm kind of a blue, it's a violet. It's not a very, very in-your-face kind of a blue, if you know what I mean. Okay, let me stop there now, just take a look at that and keep kind of referring back to our reference photograph, just for a very kind of quick reference, you know. So you can see as well, I'm putting this on very wet, and that's just to cover the canvas. I will kind of strengthen all these colours as I'm going. I make them stronger and stronger with different layers. You know what I mean? Now, nice rich bit of blue here. And it's a case of just, you know, keep going back into your turpentine because it's quite dry and you really want to spread the paint out very far, okay? And it just goes to show you, it's amazing how quickly you can create a big artwork. It just happens very, very fast and it's very, very spontaneous. Now I'm going to get some more French ultramarine in my palette. A colour I haven't used in years, but I have it in my box, so I thought, yeah, a nice rich bright blue, just for the ends, with a little bit of purple or even crimson or something like that, just to knock it back slightly. You know what I mean? And I reckon this artwork is going to look absolutely stunning on someone's wall, on Finbar's wall actually. This is for Finbar. Finbar, if you're watching, thank you so much and I hope you like it. Let's, right, that's that one done. Okay, so I'm just going to stand back now just for a moment and let me have a look here. Okay. Yeah, okay, I'll leave that as it is just for now. I'll come over to this side now, maybe just kind of do the same over on that side. And with the other side, it tends to kind of curl the opposite way, if you know what I mean. So well, not the opposite way, but there's a very big curl right in there, isn't there? I'm going to go with some pure French ultramarine for that. And, you know, this is not even the fun part. The fun part is yet to come. Let me just clean my finger here just for a moment and pull this jumper up out of the way. The fun part is yet to come, my friends. This is just a filling in stage, isn't that right? That's all we're doing, filling it in. Now, I'm conscious of the fact that I don't want too much blue in this, okay? So I'm picking up a little dioxide purple. That's a lovely colour, isn't it? That's a lovely complementary colour. That against the orange and the red works lovely. The purple. So I'll even take a bit of crimson with some purple. That'll give us another lovely colour. A lovely kind of a plum colour. And we'll work that into the red. And you can just be free, completely free with all this kind of painting. You know, that's why I love it so much. It's just doing abstract like this. It's like a breath of fresh air when painting. For a landscape painter particularly, because I focus more on landscapes more than anything else. Something like this is like a breath of fresh air, and it's beautiful to do. You should try it. Just, you know, if you have a blank wall at home or anything like that, just grab a big canvas and a bit of paint and just go crazy. Just go crazy. Now I need some purple. Where did I put my purple? Dioxide purple is here somewhere. I have paints all over the place. There it is. It's called dioxine purple. Beautiful purple colour. Let me get some of that. Okay, I'm going to get some of that with a little white, I think. Just going to pull some white out and try a bit of that. That's lovely, isn't it? I love that colour. Because these purples against the yellows, really, really complementary, okay? I'll take that with a little hint of red and a bit of white. So I'm pulling just lots of colour together. Round in circles. Right into your blue, look, right all the way across. Over into that red. Into the orange. Now, I have a bit of green there where I put on black, you see. I put a bit of black on there by accident and I went over the yellow, so I got a hint of green. So I'm just simply going to take a hint of red and pull some red over that. See, just like that. Nice and simple. And where the black meets the red there as well, I don't want it going kind of muddy. So again, I'm going to take some red and pop some red between those. And I may take a little crimson and some white. Okay, a little bit. Pop a little of that in there as well. And that just helps neutralise any muddy colours and greens. I mean, even as it is, it looks wonderful, doesn't it? Now, my exposure went down on this bloody camera. The exposure went down, so I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it because I fear I may have ruined the video already. So I'm just putting lots of colour on. Okay, I need to put this back on here, my reference photograph. 2, 1. And we have a bit of black over in this corner here. And take some black with my brush. And perhaps some crimson. And put a nice blacky colour over there. And I'm going to pull some crimson and some purple into that. Okay, that's not bad. Now, I'm going to focus on this area perhaps just a little bit more. I'm going to take some cadmium red and just pull some bright cadmium red through there, like that. Again, a bit more just in the corner, like so. Alright, and I'm going to add more cadmium red. But the reason I'm adding so much cadmium red is because just to neutralise any muddiness. That's really the only reason, okay? Now I'm going to try some cadmium red deep, a real deep colour. And I'm going to go in here to this blue, pop a little bit of that in there. And I'm going to go into that black again, or maybe just behind the black here. A little bit of cadmium red there. Give the brush a quick clean. And I'm going to get some deeper red in around here. Okay, like that. Now, let me stand back and take a look. Yeah, it's coming on quite nice, isn't it? Nice colourful painting. I'm going to get some whites. I think some whites and some yellows. So I'm just going to give my brush a quick clean, okay? We get some tissue. Lots of colour on this. So I'm going to just dip it in my turpentine and let that colour soak off. Now let me check the camera. Make sure it's all right again. So far so good. I'm using my phone, you see, today because my camcorder doesn't stretch this wide. So my phone does, but for some reason the exposure just kind of went down all of a sudden on its own there earlier. I apologise for that. Very difficult to get a proper camera. I need to buy a really good video camera, you know. They're just so expensive. It's crazy. But yeah, sometime in the near future I'll buy a decent quality camera for recording. Okay, white and yellow. Take some titanium white, little yellow. You can see I have a little on each side, okay? And I'm going to go up here and just start softening some of that in here. Again, I'll keep cleaning my brush as I'm going, alright? Then take some yellow on its own perhaps. Pop some yellow in through that red. It's basically kind of breaking up the layers. That's what I'm trying to achieve. Breaking up the layers. And I'm going to pop some white in there like that. And also, with a painting like this, when people are watching a tutorial like this, or whoever, people will always say, oh, maybe add a bit of this in there, or add a bit more red to that part, or something like that. It's just very spontaneous. It's something that has to evolve, I think. It's not something that you can kind of plan meticulously. It's something that you just have to go for it and see what happens. That's what I find, especially with an abstract painting like this. I don't want to use too much yellow in there. I don't want to lose it. I'm going to take some more yellow and a bit of white. I'm going to pop a little bit of that over here because I don't want too much of the yellow just in the centre. Do you understand what I mean? I want to kind of move it around, little touches of it popping out here and there. Let me get more yellow there. So yeah, just little touches of it kind of popping out behind other parts. So again, I'll take some yellow. Now, I might be brave, pop a little bit of yellow down here. Being careful not to create mud, okay, not blending it too much. Because if you blend it too much, it's going to soften too much into the other colours and turn muddy, and I don't want mud. Nobody likes mud, especially not on a painting. Okay, so I'm going to come down, maybe add a splash of it there. And I'm almost ready to move to my smaller brushes, I think. Let me just have a quick look. Now, I know there's a lot of green in the painting. I'm kind of unsure about the green. I really don't know about the green. Perhaps, I think it's time to maybe start adding a little bit of white with a blue, I think. I think it's time. I'm going to use another regular cheap bristle brush, okay? Clean one. I'm going to get some blue and I'm going to put some white, lots of blue and lots of white. And let's try this. Let's try here. See, little swishes. Swishes with the brush. Is that what they're called? Swish. Now I'm going to do another one. What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to cross over some of these. Okay. So for instance, just here, I'm going to go like that. Okay. So what I want to try and do is kind of put one brush stroke in front of the other, so to speak. So I'm going to take even some dark blue on its own and perhaps just go like this. You see? So one is going in front of the other, kind of, and that's the general idea of this kind of artwork. It's lots of layers of brush strokes. That's really all it is. Let me try that again. I might get some purple this time. And I might try some purple down here. Like that. Okay, so you can see it coming, kind of coming together slowly. Let's try some purple with some white. And next to this one perhaps, like that. And I could put another one like that. Okay. That's a nice brush. I like using this kind of a brush. It's the cheapest brush you can buy, probably €1, and it just does just as well as any other expensive brush that you might have. So you don't need expensive materials for this kind of a painting. I'm going to try some white on this on its own, and I'm going to go, let's go here, like that. Okay, that's not bad. That bit of yellow down there is kind of clashing, I think, so I might take some red on this brush, lots of red, and just go over that like that, okay? Just a bit, just a little. I know we have a little splash of black there, so I'm going to add some black to another side over there. I'm going to keep this brush clean, and I'm going to use something else for my black. This lovely flat, okay? Large flat. Now also, I need some thinners. Already this is looking pretty good, isn't it, for a wall art? I think this is absolutely stunning. I would be proud to hang this in any room of my house, I'll be honest. It's beautiful. It just has so much colour and it can complement any room because there's a bit of every colour in it. So if you have something with a bit of red or a bit of orange or a bit of blue in your room, it's just going to work perfectly. And by the way, if you want something like this done, just let me know, okay? I can do a couple. Not exactly the same, but similar. Let's get some black. Let's go over some black on this brush. Not too much. And I'm going to add a little touch of black. I can see a bit of black in the center here somewhere. It looks quite nice. So I'm going to go up like that with my black. Now I don't want to go into the yellow because you're going to end up with green if you do that. So I'm going to pick up, let me get some more colour. I'm going to pick up some cadmium red deep and some crimson, okay? And I'm going to finish off that black streak with a bit of red. And that will just prevent any muddiness, basically, and any green showing through the black. So I'm just going to wipe that brush very quickly. You need a lot of tissue paper for this, I tell you that. I'll take a little bit of cadmium red and crimson and finish this like that, okay? Now let's just softly bring them down. And next to that, I might put a little hint of crimson and cadmium red as well. So you can see then, it's not a sharp finish. Do you understand? It's not a very sharp finish. Okay, I need to get my reference photograph back on again because this thing just keeps locking and I can't stop it. It's very annoying. So yeah, okay, that's looking good. I'm going to start building up new layers, I think. In fact, I will put a tiny bit of black just down in this corner here because that's nice and dark down there, isn't it? Little bit there, and perhaps a little bit dark black and blue over on this side as well. I think that just sort of encloses the painting, okay? That deep dark colours down at the corners, it sort of encloses the painting and almost frames the artwork for you. Do you understand what I mean? So I'm going to put plenty of that in, a bit of purple. Let's put a little bit up here. Okay. That purple is actually lovely, it's a lovely colour. Mixed with a little white. Let's try this. Let's go up here. It's a beautiful colour. Soften it through, and the idea is really to kind of overlap your brush strokes. Do you know what I mean? So for instance, I'm going to go like that. Okay, let me finish this up like that, and then I'm going to give this a quick wipe. I'm going to take a stripe of yellow with a bit of blue, I think. I need blue again. I tell you something, lads, I'm going through some colour here. But I have plenty, that's all right. I have loads of paint. I'm going to take some blue, ultramarine blue, and a big splash of white, okay? It's not even mixed, look. And I'm just going to go, but be bold, be brave. Come on, let's have a bit of fun. Look at that. Right through. Strike it right through. How's that for a bit of fun, huh? And let's take a bit of blue up here. And then take that colour off the brush, just roughly, it doesn't have to be spotless. I'm going to get a splash of white, and I'm going to put a splash of white up here. Like that. All these brush strokes will, you know, come to life eventually. And I'm just checking my camera constantly just to make sure everything looks okay. I'm going to take some of the blue with a little white again, and I might pop a little of that down here. Okay, not mixing too much, all right? I'm kind of leaving the yellow in the middle because I'm a little apprehensive. I don't want to spoil it. Do you understand? I might get some, I might put that brush down to one side, right? Just put this to one side. I'm going to change my tissue because I'm going through a hell of a lot of tissue. Let me get some fresh tissue paper here. And just pop that in there for wiping. And I'm going to get another brush just for white, okay? I should have another brush here somewhere. Let me see, can I find one? Okay, that might do. And aha, my stubby brush. My stubby brush, my favourite brushes. And I have a couple down here as well. Let me see, can I find a nice thick one. I have a nice brand new bristle. It was gifted to me actually from a viewer. Beautiful brushes, thank you so much, Janelle. Janelle sent them to me. I'm going to take some white and cadmium yellow, and I'm going to pop that, start putting this very bright colour in up here. Now my white on that palette is kind of contaminated with blue and purple, so I'm going to put some fresh white on a palette just here. Okay, I have another palette down here, look, a small palette. Pop a little bit of white on that. And I'm going to take some white with cadmium yellow, just for that centre, okay? And I want to really make the centre pop. Okay, it's all about that bright yellow in the center for me. That's really, you know, that's what draws you in, I find. And I'm going to pop a little bit in over here as well. Like that. I keep cleaning my brush because I want a clean brush for this. More white, more cadmium yellow, and I'm going to go down into that. Now I know at the moment you see all the brushes going up that way, but in a moment I'm going to start bringing them this way. Okay, opposite directions. But first I just want to make sure I have all the background brush strokes finished. All right, so okay, let's I can see a nice bit of yellow in there. Really complements each side of the painting, and perhaps even a bit on either side over here as well. Maybe just a touch maybe just kind of popping through somewhere over here. I think maybe just down there. Okay, it's only just a hint, that's all. Okay, let me get some more thinners, more white, more yellow, and down like that. Okay, I'll take more yellow. I want to soften these brush strokes here in the middle because they're a little bit on the harsh side, some of those brush strokes. Okay, I'm just going to take cadmium yellow and I'm going to pop a little of that. So I'm building up. My paint is getting thicker and thicker and thicker. You see, that's why I done a very watery kind of a layer of paint at the very beginning, just to have a nice kind of a ground to work on. That's all it was. And it works. Because I can now put lots of thick paint over this much easier. If I was putting paint on very thick at the beginning, I'd be here for days, just putting in little bits at a time. So a thin watery coat at the very beginning is what you need. Now we get a nice yellow in there. I mean, even as it is, it looks fantastic, I think. Put a bit of yellow on the end of this one up here, crossing over. Now, at this stage, I'm going to take some, perhaps a little bit of white and a bit of pink. Okay, I'm thinking, before I move on to the next stage. So, and maybe even like some little tiny stripes of black as well. So I'm going to get some white with some crimson first, okay? And what I'm going to do is go, this is the tricky part now, isn't it? Go like that, right across. Let's get some more pink. And soften that off up to a point, okay? So now we're coming forward with the next layer, you see? Again, I'm going to try some cadmium red and put some cadmium red. Let's see, let's go like that with some cadmium red. A little bit more. And this is a hand painting, so the brush strokes are not going to be exactly perfect, okay? They may have a little bit of a wiggle here and there, but that's the handmade feel of painting. Bit of red up there, look. Let's take a bit more pink, perhaps a little bit of blue, and finish that off through the blue then. Okay? Now, what you can do then as well, with the colour already on the brush, take a bit of white, okay? And pop a little splash of white over those, just like that, you see? So, you know, it's bringing forward new layers all the time. So I just need to sit back now, take a good look at this. Now, if you feel not happy with something, okay, if you feel like, yeah, I feel, I'm not sure I like that, let's just put a little bit of this through there, a little bit of that through there, okay, and continue this down through that. You see, so you're kind of pushing it back then again. A little bit more pink, perhaps. coming in here. And I would take a little white. Now my brush is not spotlessly clean at all, okay? It's just relatively clean. I'm going to take some white. And I'm going to be bold. I'm going to get some white and come right down. Like that, okay? And I can keep going with little touches of white here and there. So for instance, over here, on the side of those, and take a little bit of white again for here, like that. See, it's evolving right before our eyes. It's nice and refreshing to do this. At the same time, I'm still being kind of careful. I don't want to overdo what I'm doing, so I'm still being kind of cautious not to just go crazy with it, you know. So I have to keep that in mind as well. I'm going to put a little bit of purple up here, some purple on the brush, like that. Alright, then a little bit of pink, perhaps, a little bit of pink, like so. And what I want to do as well is make the brush strokes a little deeper, a little thicker at the bottom. Okay, so a little thicker at the bottom, so they're coming from a thick point up to a thin point. Does that make sense? Okay, now let me get my thing back on here again. One. This is so annoying, this thing. Okay, now I can see a bit better there. So I'm thinking next I might bring a little bit of orange into that side, because orange against purple is a perfect complementary colour. So I'm going to mix a nice orange, okay? Now, I need more yellow. And let me see, okay, I'm okay with that. So a bit of yellow, mix it here, and some cadmium red, okay? Now, if you have mud on your brush, try and give it a clean. So I have a lovely rich orange, okay? A bit more red in the mix. So we start with a bit of red first. Let's just go here, look, like that. All right, I might pop a little bit of red in down here as well, because what I want to do is sort of transition the colours through the painting. I don't want just a separate block of colour on each side, so I want to try and keep, you know, bring some yellowy orange to either side as well, and I think that will make a huge difference in the painting. So I'm going to just kind of start creeping some red in here first, right? So if you start with the red, you can then add yellow on top of the red, okay? You don't have to worry about it going any kind of muddy colour or anything like that. So I'll clean that now again. Lots of red in here. So then I'll take some yellow, okay? It's not pure yellow, there's a tiny bit of red in this yellow, it's not pure yellow. And I'm going to put this on my red over here. So at least then you're not mixing it directly on top of blue or purple. So no mud. So you can kind of see, you understand what I mean now by that. I'll do the same over here. I'll get this warm yellow. So we have a little bit of each colour kind of coming through either side, don't we? Just a little. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit. I'll take some white with that yellow and I'll pop some of that over there. And again, a bit more white. Might pop a scrape of white through here, just to illuminate that section just a little bit more. Now I'm going to put a few dark reds through the yellow just here and there. I think it needs this because I don't want too much pure yellow just in the middle. I want to kind of add a little bit of brush stroke to them as well. Try to match the rest of the painting. So I make a nice kind of a yellowy orange, cadmium red, cadmium yellow, and I'm just going to pop a few, see, just like this. You could even have some sort of coming out of nowhere as well. For instance, for here, like that, okay, it's not bad. And I'm going to just cut in front of this one. I find this one coming down is probably a bit overpowering for the painting, just a touch. So I'll just cut in front of it, here and there. And that will push it kind of backwards again. Now let me take a bit of red, pop a nice little bit of red through that. And I'll take some red with some crimson, come down here and add a nice touch of that colour. That's looking really nice already, I must say. I'm going to take some crimson with a little of the mauve, okay, so it's kind of a pinky. I just want to kind of dull this down ever so slightly here. It was a little bit strong, I find, just a little. And I might put a rich blue through there. Again, I'll take some purple, a little white. And I'll add a little purple with white with that as well. And if you find like a particular curve is too much, too overpowering for the painting, I'm just going to take a hint of white. Yeah, a little white, and I'm going to go, let's go in front of it, okay? Like that. That just kind of knocks it back a little bit, doesn't it? So yeah, we're going quite nicely. I want to put a nice curve going through those, okay? I'm going to clean my brush. This is where it all could go horribly wrong, I have to admit, but you know, if you don't try it, you won't know. I'm going to take some, I'm going to go with a nice pink first. So I'll take crimson with lots of white. Now I've loads of paint on my brush, and I'm going to start up here. And I'm going to come down and go off like that, okay? Now clean my brush again, take some pink again, some crimson, and I want to make it slightly thicker. Like that, okay? That's nice. And as it comes over, I'm going to darken it with some blue and some pink, okay, as it comes over here, like that, you see. And I'm also then going to add white into that. I can see there's some lovely strikes of a bright white here and there on the photograph. I want to add some nice bright white going across some of those. So let me see now, let me just touch that now just to make sure it doesn't go off again. And I'm going to take some white and pop some white. Just like that. Clean the brush, take more white. I could even go white across here like that. Now, even as it is, I think it's beautiful. It's a work of art. It really is just abstract, beautiful colours. You know, I'd be happy enough just to hang this on the wall as it is, but I just want to really get some of those bright spots in. And the trouble is, you see, the paint is wet, so everything is mixing together. It's difficult that way then to get a solid brush stroke. So I could leave this dry for a day or two and just add a couple of bright white brush strokes right across it here and there. I could by all means do that, but I'm just going to keep going. I think wet into wet is more natural. You get a much softer kind of a brush stroke. Okay, let me get more white again, and I could probably put some white on this palette here just to save me reaching over every few minutes. There we go. Now white, going to pop some white in. Let me get a nice bright spot here, like that. Clean the brush every time. You have to clean your brush every time because you're picking up dirty paint as you go. So clean the brush. And a wipe there. Okay, and a bit more there. Already that's looking pretty good, isn't it? I am pretty impressed with this. Now I am going to cut, you see this big round one here, that's a little bit forward, so I might push that back with a stroke of white and yellow maybe up there. So I might push it back like that, okay? Again, get me more white. Like so. Now I just want to add 1 or 2 little bits of black into this. So let me give my brush a nice clean, okay? Let me give it a really good clean. Alright. And I'm going to just simply take a little bit of black and perhaps some red. Bit of black and a bit of red, okay? And I want to give it some punch. I'm going to go up here, start up there, take a bit more. I could put a little bit of it down here as well, like that. Could put another little touch of it here and there, just on that one there, okay? A little here. I'll pop a little behind this white here just to highlight that white a little bit more. So you can kind of see now where we're going with all this. Take a bit of a black and red, and I might pop 1 or 2 nice dark ones. There, like that. And again, come down here actually. Some nice dark spot down there. Okay. Yes. We are getting there, I think. We are getting there. Let me see, is this camera still recording? Okay, it's still recording. It's working away nicely. Let me just make sure. Is it 1 hour already? How time flies, I tell you. How time flies. Okay, I'm going to get some white. I might actually take a little bit of white and blue. I think a little bit of white and blue might really complement the painting, wouldn't it? And add that punch to the painting. I'm going to take some French ultramarine and some white. And I think what I'll do now is I'll go, this is a little bit tricky now. I want to be careful with this now. I'll go here. Alright, a little bit there. So you can see it's not overdone, it's not too much. A little bit more blue, a little bit more white. I'll go maybe here. Like that. Again, some blue, some white. Just a bit there. Clean that brush really well, and I might just go with a little white, perhaps, and just really give it some life, just like that. And even, let's go like that. And I want to give it a little bit down here as well. Okay. And let me think. I'm going to go with, I'm loving the yellow in the center. I'm loving the yellow. So I might add more pinks maybe to that blue over there. So I might tone down the blue just a little. Maybe purple. Purple might work a little better, I think. Don't you think? I might just tone it down ever so slightly, okay? Just with a bit of purple. And a little bit of purple there. And pop a little purple over this one as well. I think it might just help soften the blue just a little. Do you know what I mean? A little bit more purple there. I'll put a little bit on top of this. Take a bit more again. Put a bit of purple over this one. Yeah, I think the purple is a bit nicer. I think it's a bit more complementary for the painting. I think it works a bit better. You see, doesn't it? I think it does. So yeah, I think we're doing pretty good. I might go with some pure white again. So I think, yeah, let's go with pure white. Get some really bright white in there. So I just need to give this brush a really good clean. Okay, so bear with me. So how do you like this so far? It's a lot of fun. Even to watch, I think it's just really so relaxing, and you must be itching to get your brushes out and get a big canvas. I'd say you are. Well, if you'd like to help me in a minute, just pop over to Patreon, sign up to Patreon, and you're supporting me directly. So I really appreciate that. There are lots of extra tutorials over there as well for you to enjoy. Okay, clean brush, some white. Little bit of white on its own, and let's go for it. Let's just go. Let's just go for it. Of course, when you're going through dark colours, you must clean your brush, okay, to keep it clean. And I'm going to put a little bit of white. That's nice, isn't it? I think it needs one or two over here. And that really just brings the layer forward. Do you see? It just brings that layer behind forward a lot more. I think to break it up, it needs a bit down here, doesn't it? Like that. Yeah, that kind of really helps it, doesn't it? And I'd say another bit here. Like so. Again, give the brush a quick wipe. Pick up more white. And here. Okay. And just be very careful. I don't want to overdo this. I really don't want to spoil this, but I want a really bright spot in the middle. I really want a nice bright layer in the middle. Just around in there. Now, next to some of those smaller ones, I'm going to put a little dart of white, just like that, okay, with the tip of my brush, just to sort of highlight some of the thinner ones a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So, for example, Okay, let's say here, okay? I just want to highlight them just here and there. You see? Just sort of help them stand out a little. Even next to the black here, look. A bit of white. Help them just jump out a little. You could put a bit over here as well. Isn't that lovely? We put one up here. And perhaps one next to this blue. That'll really stand out there. Also, I do have to paint around the edges of the canvas, which will take a bit of time. Just matching up colours kind of roughly. So I'll do that later. There's no real rush with doing that right now. I'm just kind of anxious to get the main painting finished, and you know, you can kind of relax then and have a cup of coffee and think, okay, lovely, happy with that. Now let's what shall we do? Let's cut in front of some of those. Okay, just like that. And actually, there's one just in the middle there. I'm just going to pop a splash of white across that. Okay. Now I think my last job to do is some black. So I need some black. There's one bit of black. There it is. So I'm going to put 1 or 2 or 3 black lines, real dark black lines. Loads of black on the brush. And just to kind of set some of them apart. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to, let's say down here, okay? That. Just kind of thin lines. They don't have to be very, very strong lines. Just some nice thin lines. Just to kind of help some of them stand out a bit. Do you see what I mean? And okay, I'll put 1 or 2 like that. Let's say 1 like that. I won't overdo it, okay? I don't want to overdo it. I think this is probably enough. Maybe a bit more dark just on the side, and a bit more dark. Because it's dark down in that corner, I'm thinking maybe dark in that corner slightly up there. Just a little. Just to help and allow everything so let me just fix this now for a moment, okay? Just going to soften that in slightly. Now you could, if you want to do also, just go around all of this with your blender brush and blend it all together. Make it lovely and soft. That would be a good way of, you know, that would be a lovely technique actually. Go get your blender brush, soften it together, make it lovely and soft. I don't think I want to kind of soften it too much. I do want some of them to stand out quite a bit. Perhaps put a little bit of pink or something through here just to break this up. Okay. And my friends, I think I'll leave it at that. I don't want to go crazy with this. I want to keep it subtle. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to go overboard. I just want to go and tone down the blue here just a little. And voila! Done. How's this looking? I'm very, very happy. I think that's really, really lovely. I'll finish some of those. And the hard part is actually going to be painting around the edges, because I need to follow all these colours, okay, around the top and around the sides and underneath. So I need to copy all these lines roughly. It doesn't have to be exact, but roughly, just around the sides and top and bottom. But for now, I am very happy with this. I think I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to overpower the painting with too many swirls, okay? But I think just that yellow in the middle really draws your eye in, doesn't it? It really catches your eye. You know, I'll see what Finbar says, and we'll go from there. If he wants to add a little bit more orange in, I can add more orange, or purple, or red. We'll see. Thank you so much, my friends. I hope you enjoyed that. I need a cup of coffee. I'll see you all next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed watching this, something different for a change, different to my usual landscapes. But yes, it was so much fun. I really am just delighted now that it's like I've breathed a sigh of relief since I've done this. It's just brilliant. Go on, let me know what you think. Maybe try it and have some fun, okay? Thank you all, God bless, and I'll see you next week for another tutorial. Happy painting.